This half an hour, the Russian election probe heating up in the House. Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta, met with a House panel probing how Russia's interference in the 2016 election earlier this week occurred. One focus of the investigation, the hacking of Podesta's own personal email account and the release of his emails by WikiLeaks during the campaign. In recent days, President Trump has accused former President Obama of doing too little to address Russian cyber activity while he was still in the White House. Joining me right now is the former chairman of Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, John Podesta. John, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Good to have you on the program.
Good morning, Maria.
So you met with the Senate Intelligence Panel as part of this investigation. What can you tell us? House Intelligence. What can you tell us about that meeting?
Well, they wanted to know essentially what had happened to me and what the effect of was on the campaign, the Russian interference in our democratic process, and they're probing what actually happened, whether there was collusion, and what are we going to do about it. They asked me not to get into specific questions that they asked me and my specific answers, but in general terms, they're taking a bipartisan look at this stage. You know, they had trouble in that committee when their chairman, Devin Nunes, was kind of working with the White House to try to both cover sort of for whatever had happened in the Trump White House and the Trump campaign, and particularly the Mike Flynn matter. But I think they're back on track with a bipartisan investigation, so there are members from both sides, and they asked probing questions about what had happened during the campaign.
Do you find it odd that there's been so much attention on the Trump campaign and the Trump associates and potential collusion with Russians when, in fact, it's really the Democrats who have deeper and stronger ties to Russia? I mean, John, I've got to ask you about your own situation, your ties to Russian entities. You joined the board of a small energy company in 2011. 2 months later, a Russian entity directly funded by the Kremlin invested $35 million in the company. You were given 75,000 shares in a Russian company, which you failed to disclose when you became an Obama associate.
Maria, that's not true. I fully disclosed and was completely compliant with, and by the way, I divested before I went into the White House.
But where did you divest it, John? A lot of people feel like you divested it to your adult children.
I divested it consistent with the advice that I was given by the White House counsel's office, and I was fully compliant and fully transparent about what I had done. And so the fact that you're picking through my emails that were stolen by the Russians and released by WikiLeaks, and creating a story which is not true, is something that we have to deal with through the whole.
So you weren't given 75,000 shares of stock in a Russian company? You were not given 75,000 shares?
I didn't have any stock in any Russian company. So go back and get your facts straight, Maria. But
That's not true, John. We know that you own 75,000 shares. You're on the board of Joe.
It's not a Russian company. They own less than 5%.
It's backed by the Kremlin.
I didn't own any shares in that company, Maria.
When you stepped off the board, you were given 75,000 shares from Joe Lee.
No, that is not true.
How many shares were you given, John?
Maria, I didn't have any shares in any Russian company. I was on the board of an American company that did business here and only here. The Russian company had a small investment in that company, and we can go around and around the tree.
That it's backed by the Kremlin. It's been widely reported that that company's been backed by the Kremlin, and they gave you 75,000 shares that you had to disclose when you went into the Obama administration.
Maria, you can keep leveling this charge. It is not true.
Okay.
They didn't give me anything. They had a small investment in a company I was on the board of. It was a clean energy company that was trying to deal with the issue of trying to produce energy, liquid fuel, from a biotechnology process. It was based in Boston. The Russian company had a very small investment in it, and you could keep saying that they gave me stock, but they didn't.
I'm just following all the widely reported information here, John.
Well,
there's also Hillary
Maria,
Clinton, obviously.
Maybe you're looking at widely reported information from InfoWars.
No, I'm not.
But it is not
No, I'm not.
true.
This is Politico. This is the New York Times. This is the Wall Street Journal.
No, it's
That's
not.
what I'm looking at, John.
No, it's not,
Then
Maria.
there's Hillary Clinton. Then there's Hillary Clinton, of course, we know, who got $100 million from Russian companies after she allowed that Russian company to acquire 20% of the U.S.'s uranium. So the point I'm making here, John, is that there's much deeper ties to Russia on the Democratic side than there are on the Republican side. And it's just a head-scratcher that this has been taking all the oxygen out of the room over Trump, when in fact it's been your team that has been in bed with the Russians.
You know, Fox